Alright, what's up guys? This is the Comeback Kid. I'm back for Video Game Memories Part 3. This is probably one of my most fond memories is the 64, I guess you'd say 64-bit days. And what I mean by that is the PlayStation 1 days and the N64 days. 1996 comes around, N64 comes out, and we're blown away because at this point I am about 11 or 12 years old. I have my grade school friends were each probably in 5th or 6th grade, and these are the days when like professional wrestling is really big. We're huge into that. It's when the Attitude Era is going on with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels, The Rock, Triple H, DX, and then you have the WCW side with NWO and all the stuff's going on in the Attitude Era of the late 90s, and all the other crap's going on in the late 90s, the new metal scene with Korn and Limp Bizkit and all that stuff, and it's just a great time to be an adolescent and turning into a teenager. But anyway, this is about video games, and let's get to that. I have this friend growing up who's very well off, and he has everything video game related. Except I don't actually go over to his house until I'm about 11 or 12 years old. He turns out to be... I grew up with a single parent, so I had to go to my friends' houses before work because I guess they were my babysitter. Their parents were. They would watch me before I go to school, and after I come home from school until my mom gets off work and picks me up. So I would go over there, and this is where I would get all my first-hand experience with all the stuff he would pick up. And he got an N64 day one, he got a PlayStation 1 day one, a Dreamcast, he had a Sega Saturn. So he had all this stuff. He had a Saturn, 64, and a PS1 right when they came out. So I had first-hand hands-on with all these things. With the Saturn, I don't remember him playing too much with me, but what I did play was Armored Core for the Saturn, and that game was a very fun kind of a mech kind of a game. Very blocky and polygony by today's standards, but I just have fond memories of playing that, and that game was very fun. He picked up a PlayStation 1, and he had Final Fantasy VII. Now these games I would experience when I would go to his house before school. I'd get there like 30 minutes before school, and then we would walk to school. He would play these games before school. That's how hardcore he was. And the main games he would get into are Final Fantasy VII. That would be playing first thing when I get into his room. And keep in mind, I never got to play any of these RPGs. Never. He wouldn't let me play them. And plus, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything about these games, but I would watch, and I would just be amazed with how a role-playing game would work, and the story and the cinematics. And Final Fantasy VII is one of those games I finally remember him playing. In addition, well, I should take that back. He let me play, like when he would have to go to the bathroom or get ready for school, he would be grinding and he'd say, "Here, just keep tapping the X button no matter what happens." Of course he was grinding and he was overpowered and he wouldn't ever have a chance to die, so he just told me to keep pressing the attack button. In addition, he would play Resident Evil 2. He got that game and I was just blown away by it. The zombies, the graphics, just the blood, the amount of gore in the game, I was fascinated by it. And he had actually let me play that game, and of course it was like the first scene in the game and I was trying to shoot everything and I'd be out of ammo. Of course, in the first scene of Resident Evil 2, you want to try to run through the zombies, dodging them instead of wasting all your ammo. Of course I didn't know that, but I never really got to play the whole way through. And I would just watch him play, and the giant spiders and the giant crocodile, and I just loved seeing images of that game. He would also get an N64. Of course, he got that on day one. I think I was with him. I think he got, now if I'm not mistaken, I think Wave Race was a day one if I'm not mistaken, or it was a very short release after that. Maybe he rented it shortly after the N64 was launched. But anyway, he got that. He got Mario 64 and Star Fox and Mario Kart. And I just have fond memories of watching him run around as Super Mario and Super Mario 64. And I would play a little bit before I got to school with him while he's getting ready for school, and he'd have like save files like 100 stars or 80 stars on it, and I would play. And of course, you know, being able to play 30 minutes and then you have to go to school, you wouldn't have very much time to do anything. So it was kind of discouraging. But anyway, that's one of my friends that had everything, and you know, he got a Dreamcast and all that. But during that period, I actually had it was birthday or Christmas, because my birthday is very close to Christmas. But my mom ended up getting me, I believe it was probably 97 or so. I got a PlayStation and an N64 on not day one. I got them at the same time, which was, that I was blown away by that. I remember I think we got it out of a Montgomery Ward ad when Montgomery Ward was still around. She got the N64 and the PlayStation with 2 controllers for each of those systems. Keep in mind, one of the N64 controllers I got was one of those, I don't remember what it was called. I think it was called a Super Pad or something. It was a black shaped N64 controller, which all my friends hated, by the way. But I got 2 of each controller for each system, and I also got 2 games with the N64. I got Mario Kart 64 and I got Star Fox 64. And you know, I really never got much into PlayStation because it had 2 controller ports, and I know there's a external multi-tap for it, but I lived in a neighborhood where all my friends lived around me, tons of my friends, and they would stay over at my house during the summer. Like, they wouldn't go home except to change clothes and to eat, maybe. And when it was summertime, we were out of school, my place was the hangout. I kid you not, I had at least 2 kids there a night during the summer, sleeping over. At times I would have probably 7 or 8 kids sleeping over at my house, and my house was small. And you know, it was just a fun time. We would go swimming and everything else. But N64 was a system we played because it had 4 controller ports, and the most amount of my friends could play the games at the same time. And of course I would get more controllers, but we would play tons of Mario Kart 64, Star Fox 64, tons of memories playing that. Killer Instinct Gold. Like I said, wrestling was huge at that period, and back then was the start to the great wrestling series on the N64 with WCW versus NWO Revenge. That was the very first game that started the good 4-player engine of the wrestling games to come. Now after that, Revenge came out, and then the WWF games come out with WWF, what came out? Attitude and No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000. Those games came out. I have fond memories, but those came out a couple years later. But the first one was WCW vs. NWO Revenge. And that was the first one with the good game engine that all the other wrestling games after that shared. And we were huge in wrestling. Although we preferred WWF, we took WCW because that was the one we would watch during the commercials. And man, I had fond memories of everyone playing that game. But anyway, man, there was I think a bug or a glitch or something to where if you were getting pinned, you could always break it by wiggling the joystick in WCW vs. NWO Revenge, if I'm not mistaken. And we would watch each other and make sure we didn't break that rule of touching the joystick, because initially to break out of a pin you have to tap the buttons very fast. And me and my friends got so good at it, particularly my 2 good friends, they got so good at that game that they would be able to reverse each other every single time. Like, they would reverse each other's reverses. And I think you can only do it a certain amount of times till someone wins. but they were so good that if you press the R button to reverse, they could do it exactly the right moment, and it was so. We played the game so much that we could do that every single time, and it was just crazy. I had fond memories of that.